What's up, Diablo 4 Rogues? So Season 5 is looking pretty good. Let's check out the brand new toys that we have. These are the new items. Now, some of these are updated items that are completely reworked, but there's also two items in particular that just got updated literally yesterday. So let's go and check out the brand new things. So we're going to be mainly focusing in on the live, not the left side, because these are the old ones from the PTR, while the right side is the brand new updates. So for starters, we are getting the Shroud of Conturas. This is a brand new chest armor that's giving us evade grants movement speed. We also have non-physical damage, which could actually be pretty good for any builds that could do, like, say, fire, or if you're doing some sort of cold imbue. There's also plus to Dark Shroud, and that's a really good stat already, especially if you get that greater affix that every class pretty much, will want to run this thing. Like every single build of Rogue will be wanting to run that for the most part, unless you're running Tyraels, because that did get a buff as well. But casting Dark Shroud makes us immune for 2 seconds, but our evade cooldown is increased by a set duration, up to like 3 if you get a good rolled one. And then evading while Dark Shroud is active leaves behind an explosion that deals some set up amount of damage. This damage actually isn't that bad, plus it pulls in enemies. Now, is it worth sacrificing over Tyraels? Probably not. It has some sort of cool play with it, but in general, as far as the stats go on it, do I think it's really that great? Well, you're missing out on main stat, and main stat's going to be even more important in Season 5, so this may be kind of a fun little toy, but at the end of the day, as far as like min-maxers, I don't think that this is enough damage to make it super good, unless you have a build that you want to completely make a build around Dark Shroud, because there's another one where when your Dark Shroud actually gets consumed, it actually can cause another explosion, so you could do a pretty unique build with it. Will it be the S tier build? My assumption is probably not, but it'll be kind of cool to mess around with. Like I said, Tyraels is probably going to be the thing that, it's like the new, every single person plays Tyraels armor, unless you're playing like a very specific build that can't use it. Next up, we have the Umber Crux. It's a brand new dagger over here. So it has 50% damage now, so it got buffed over there. And then we still get dexterity, we get vulnerable, we get subterfuge cooldown reduction, which is great. And then we have innervation, which it's okay. It's not really a bad stat, especially because, well, with the newer update, with of course the brand new item, the Crowlucion, it's going to be harder to run for a lot of builds. This could help out a little bit, but yeah. And then on top of that, the special power that is so good, our subterfuge skills will create a attackable totem that lasts up to 8 seconds. Any damage it takes is replicated around the surrounding enemies. Now, this got nerfed by 10%, but it's still going to be the godliest item in the game. It says you can only create 1, but before it said you can only make 2. I have literally gameplay footage of creating way more than 2. So, it's still one of the best items in the game. It can still essentially double your damage. And so, the reason why it can still, and I say can because it depends on the skill that you're using, is it allows certain skills to actually ricochet off of other things. You can also run penetrating shot to go ahead and shoot through one, and then those things can actually explode and shoot out. And then if you have it pass through an enemy, it does more damage. There's a lot of things that can ricochet in Diablo, and not only do you have the ability for it to ricochet, that can actually increase the damage on certain abilities, because you can make the ability to do more damage on the ricochet or rapid fire or whatever. You can make it do more damage, and then on top of that, it will take the damage twice, because not only is it going to explode, and let's say you're playing like the rapid fire with the explosion, right? So not only do you hit the target, you hit the totem, and then that explosion will still do the damage, and then maybe it can ricochet off the totem and hit the target again. So there's a lot of plays with this. It's definitely going to be one of the top tier items, and I want to say every single rogue build will want to play this for min-maxing. Now, do you have to play this in every single build if you just want to clear like pit 100s? Probably not. But it is still going to be, if you want to push, there's no doubt in my mind, this is the new best item for Rogue. But there's also a bunch of other stuff, and I actually have not seen this, so it's going to be kind of my reaction to it. But let's go ahead and check out all of the brand new updated uniques. So I'm not going to go over the old stats. I'm going to assume you guys, if you guys are watching this, you probably know what it does already. Just want to go kind of over the updates. So Shearers, more damage over here. We get max life. That's great. Crit strike chance is actually a pretty good stat. You get that greater affix, that's awesome. We get lucky at chance is another great stat, and I could actually see this being incorporated in a lot of builds now. We get weapon master, lucky hit, crit, life, like godly. There's not one bad stat on this item, unless you don't need lucky hit chance. But then hits with this weapon increase our attack speed by an amount, and it can go up to 40%. 40% attack speed is no joke. It's weird that they removed attack speed on all the stuff in the PTR in Season 4, and then they brought it all back. They're literally buffing up attack speed, and they removed it because it was too good. So I don't know. It looks like the game's kind of like, it goes one direction, then it like swings in the other direction. They're like, okay, you know, we'll just add it back to the game. At the end of the day, this is a pretty viable option. If you happen to have an open slot and you don't need a very specific aspect, 40% attack speed is more than like accelerating. That gives you what, like 25, 30? Even on like the basic attack one, I think it goes up to like 30. This is actually a pretty solid weapon overall. Could recommend. Very good, especially because you get crit. And then like the implicit on it is actually like decent as well. Next up we have Condemnation. This is the combo points one. So we lose out on attack speed on the basic attack, but we get, oh, actually, you know what? That actually got increased. So they moved the stats. I don't know. They should have kept it up in line. So now we have dex and basic attack speed. And then we have damage per combo point spent. And then we have up to a chance to make enemies vulnerable. This is a pretty good stat because that actually is something that most top-tier rogues build. They will play a Cursed Touch because there's just no good source of vulnerability unless you're playing a very specific build to actually apply it. Very easy. This could actually be a pretty decent stat. Again, very good, especially if you get that greater affix. And then we have our core skills deal up to 40x increased damage when spending 3 combo points, and our basic skills using this weapon have a 50% chance. So they basically doubled it. It went from 30 to 50. So now how it's going to work is you could do combination core skill, combination core skill. I like this idea. It's pretty dang cool. I could see this easily being really good, but as far as I can tell from most like players, like even myself, that like I used to be like a min-maxer, I like to push for the leaderboards. Playing combo points, it's so less fluid now because you not only have to do caltrops, but you also have to do the Umbra Crux. You have to go totem, caltrops, and then if you do the combo points to mix in, it's just a lot of steps required. So I want to say for smoother experience, combo points has been outphased, and you can definitely play it without combo points. I'm talking Twisting Blades, Barrage, Rapid Fire, all these builds can work perfectly fine without combo points, as they are lowering the HP on bosses from like, well, the scaling in percent from 30,000 to the 6,000, so it's like divided by 5. Your damage basically gets, think of it this way, your damage is like multiplied times 5. Unless you're doing some crazy push, I don't think you need combo points anymore. So it's cool though. It is definitely like viable, right? I mean, this comes down to, you know, if it's only half of your attacks doing this, but you also get this damage per combo point, which goes up to 65 times 3, not even counting greater affix, masterworking. I actually don't think it's that bad at all. Pretty cool stuff indeed. Next up, we got Sky Hunter. So what are the changes on this? Because this is a pretty good item, actually. 17% attack speed is pretty massive. Wow, look at that crit strike damage. 250. We get that greater affix. We get another 125, so 375 crit strike damage. And then we have marksman projectiles. That's awesome because that means you can actually hybrid. Not that hybrid really works in Diablo 4 because it's just the way that the game is made. Then we have stutter step over here. And then we also make it so the first direct damage you deal to an enemy is guaranteed critical strike. When you consume a stack of precision casting skill, that skill gains 40x to 60x, so they actually doubled, not doubled it, it's a 50% bonus. So 40 was max, and now it's 60 max, and then you gain a little bit more energy, so pretty nice over there. At least it has this, so if you get this to be greater affix and then you masterwork it, it's pretty solid. I don't have to say, it's not a bad item for just generic, okay, I can use this for a bit, but I do like that you get the guaranteed crit, but I think if you're trying to play a build, right now, guys, Windforce is money. That's actually be viable. I haven't seen the new Penshot one, which we're going to check out too, but I think this is a pretty solid weapon overall because it gives you that chance for this. This is one of the biggest problems is these uniques just lost out on tempering, so no one wanted to play it back in Season 4. But in Season 5, I mean, these are really good stats, especially if you want to do something with like Lochran's Talisman, that amount of crit strike damage, that's massive, man. Let's go into Windforce. So this one I've already seen, already revealed it to you guys back when we had that Diablo secret partner meeting that we could talk about. Yeah, I already told you guys Windforce was going to be money, and it is pretty dang good. So what makes it so good? Movement speeds, whatever. Barrage, that's kind of normal because normally you just temper that on, but that's 55 on a non-greater affix. So basically, you get that greater affix, you're getting 100 if you masterwork it. And then Barrage, that's good. Malice, that's good. Then this is the special part. Barrage has up to a 50% chance to deal double damage and knock down enemies, so you have that crowd control, so you get that bonus with concussive strikes, where you get to get like, no, that's the aspect. There's another one where you get a bonus crit strike damage, and again, you're going to be scaling Lochrans with this build, so it's going to be pretty good. And I think that Barrage will probably be one of the top tier builds for like most people. Just like, you know, Victimize, it was probably the build that a lot of people enjoyed back in last season. And I think Barrage is what they want us to play, because it's definitely super, super smooth in terms of its playstyle. But if you wanted to play like the Heartseeker Rogue, that's still viable. We already have gameplay of that. I already have the build. In fact, I have pretty much all the Rogue builds except for Penshot, which I'm curious to see. And here it is. Let's see if Penshot's going to be good. So we lose out on crit strike chance. That's not good. Well, we get attack speed, which is a good stat. We have Penshot. That's fine because it's a Penshot on. So it's 55. So again, you get that greater affix. You're going to be a-okay. You have Penshot, Malice, great stats. Penshot makes enemies vulnerable. Okay, that's not too bad because now you don't have to play a Cursed Touch. But remember, you're losing out on the two-handed aspect, and that's the same thing with this. You normally would actually run the barrage projectiles to actually ricochet, and it actually does more than the base damage from the ricochet. So now you're going to have to throw this on the amulet, which would be sacrificing Lockrins if you wanted the high numbers, but it's still good. Like, Windforce is still money because it's 50% double damage, right? That's a big number. But with Eaglehorn over here, we have every fourth cast of Penshot bounces off of walls. Now, I really didn't like how they changed it. This used to be like, I think it was like 80% chance to just get this effect every single time, and then they nerfed it, which makes me sad. But it can deal up to 150x damage, which is a pretty big number. Now, I'm curious to know how this interacts with the Penshot casting twice, right? Because that means if I shoot it, right, and it activates 2 times on every shot. Let's say we get to 100%. By the way, if you go over 100%, you will not be able to get 3 projectiles off of one. So if I got like 300% chance for it to cast twice, it does not cast, 3, or technically 4 because your first one, right? But it will not work. So I'm curious to know, though, if this counts for the special unique property, does this count as like 2 casts, right? So that would be every third cast actually gives you this, because you shoot out 1, and as long as you have 100, that shoots out 2. So you get 2, and then I don't know how it would work on the like second cast, because that would be the 4th one, but that one's counting as for free. Doesn't work with that, I don't know. But the stats aren't bad, but to be honest, I think that you can get away without it. I think that either way will be good, because again, you're losing out on the two-handed aspect. And remember, if we just look at it, let's say it doesn't work like that, right? We would have every 4th cast of it activate, which then you would get this and then divide that by 4, because that's how many times you're getting it. And losing out on a double-handed aspect, which is like 60x damage, I could tell you for sure, just right off the top of my head, that number will not match. Unless it bounces off and you get those perfect bounces. And let's be real, if you play this game, you're not going to try to really set up these things where you're like, okay, I need to get this boss in the corner. If you could do it, it's good. There's a season of Diablo 3, if any of you guys have played Diablo 3, in that season where we had the snowball where you try to get the boss in the corner for the special like kill streak. It was a pain if you wanted to push on the leaderboards, because that's what you had to do, right? Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be like that, but maybe the highest push build, in theory, this could be 100% the best in slot. You would have to get the boss, drag it to the corner, and then get lucky and have it bounce multiple times, which would be cool. But realistically, let's just skip out on it for like the majority of the player base. Word of Hakan. Okay, let's check out what this is. This is for like the ultimate Rain of Arrows build. So we have ultimate damage, which is actually pretty good. There's a way to scale it. So when you cast an ultimate for like a set duration, you will get a bonus to your ultimate damage is all applied to everything. I believe it has a cap, though, of like somewhere like 25 to 30 or something like that. If it didn't have a cap, we could get 60x and it'd be godly, and then Hakan could just be added into every build for like 30x right there. But it gives us a chance for Rain of Arrows waves to cast twice, so you could maybe make a Rain of Arrows build. We also have massive cooldown being on Rain of Arrows. We go from 21 to 42. We're just going into Diablo 3 numbers at this point. I mean, at this point, you run this, you run a, well, you're probably not going to get it greater affix Harlequin, let's be real. But if you just get Harlequin, masterwork it, maybe get like 25 to 30 cooldown reduction on it. You get this masterwork, right? Because this thing is going to be a joke to get and trade. Like, everyone throws this away. But just look for a greater affix one, maybe for a couple 100 mil. Get that thing to, 60 or even 50% cooldown, because 75 is the cap. So you can usually get 25 with the Harlequin, just masterwork it. Not even talking about, getting multiple crits on it, because it's already has 25 on the 20 on the base, right? So that's not going to be too hard to get. So you can easily get 75% cooldown reduction on Hakan. You run this, run Flicker Step, you just jump once, and you can cast it again. I actually think that this could be kind of fun. And as far as more of, they've been trying to really buff up the ultimates. Ultimates in this game just really don't see some play. I mean, ultimates are used like literally for like some like crowd control immunity, or you activate it for something else to activate, not for it to deal damage in most cases. But will this make up for it? I just don't see the numbers being there. If you run the thing where, wait, didn't it? Oh, wait. Okay, oh yeah, we still have this. Okay, the special ability, your rain of arrows is always imbued with all imbuements and receives your arrows. Wait, whoa, hold on. Now it actually might do damage. It receives your arrow storm benefits. That's the thing where you shoot and this little arrow storm comes down. It was a meme back in like the previous season. Like I just didn't see it being good. But now you have something to scale rain of arrows. This could be something to look at. I'm going to keep my radar open for this. I'm going to try it out. You guys let me know if you think it's going to be good, because rain of arrows had a lot of like different multipliers. But now our ultimate can now have multipliers. And there's Flicker Step, which I think rolls up to 300%. So he hits 600. It is additive though. Ultimate damage. Maybe the numbers aren't looking that bad for it. Plus, you get the damage per Dark Shroud, and that's like a couple hundred on each. I actually think it might not be that bad. Something to consider, though, for sure. All right, next up, we have Beastall Boots. I actually really like these. So we are getting maximum energy, or they have maximum energy. Now it's maximum resource. Are these generic now? Like every class can run this, or is it rogue only? It still says rogue, but I don't know. We have movement speed, that's good. Ultimate cooldown reduction, we don't even really need that at this point anymore, because the other, well, if you're running this build, that is, because we're going to max out on that. Then we also have, before it had regular, ooh, that's a nerf. Because I'd rather have just straight flat cooldown reduction, but the number goes up a little bit. We also have Agile. Then when you cast an ultimate skill, our next core skill consumes all of your energy, and it is going to get increased per energy consumed. And then using a cooldown restores 25 energy. So the whole goal is to basically run, what is it? It's not combo points, it's the other specialization, what is it called? Preparation. Had to look it up. But yeah, we just run preparation over here, and then once we spend a certain amount of resource, this actually did get buffed too. So this actually, I believe, works for 10 seconds. So once we spend 75 energy, which will be in combo with Beastall Boots, right? We get cooldown reduction by 5 seconds per 75, and then ultimate skills reset all of your other cooldowns and grants you 15% damage reduction for 10 seconds. I know it says 8, but it got updated, and some websites haven't updated yet. Heck, I was just in the middle of updating all of my builds here for, of course, this update here. And this one over here is going to be kind of nice that we have this extra 25 energy, because when you activate your ultimate, it's going to reset all of your skills anyways, because you have this, which, yeah, resets all of your cooldowns. So I guess the idea, you pop your ultimate, you use the core skill, you go on the keyboard and you hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you just slam them all down. You have max energy, and you do it all over again. So if you want to play a piano style, this could be kind of something to look at. This was actually utilized in one of the builds that I really wanted to build in Season 4, but then they secretly nerfed the potion out of nowhere for the plus to maximum resource, and that build was like a 1% or 1%er build, and very hard stuff to get running. But now with Harlequin giving us, I believe it gives you flat maximum resource as well, this could be pretty good. Now, ideally, you'd run this with, let's say, the amulet, what's the amulet called? Banisher's Talisman. So you run that, you get a guaranteed overpower, it hits for a lot of damage, and then you just activate everything again, and then you're going to get big damage. So if you like, you know, if you're a fan of like one-shot builds, yeah, Rapid Fire probably would be the one I would recommend if I was looking to do like a one-shot combo with the Beastall Boots. This one is it, but the only thing you have to get is a high number on this, because the rest of the stats really don't matter too much, I would say. As long as you get your resource up high enough, you can, there's a lot of different things that can give you plus resource now in the game. And then we have Scoundrels Leather. I've always wanted these to be good. Are these good now? So max life, that's a good stat. Movement speed while inner sight is full. Okay, well, and then we have inner sight duration. Ooh, that could actually be kind of cool, but most of the time once you get it up, unless you're doing like past pit 100 plus, you could go through it relatively fast, and then you can spend your energy, and then it'll be back up again. But this is actually kind of nice. Now we have damage reduction from enemies affected by trap skills, which I don't really like. I'd rather just have flat damage reduction or even dodge chance. But now, while you have unlimited energy from inner sight, casting a core skill has up to an 80% chance to spawn caltrops, poison trap, or death trap. Now the problem with this, I'm sure if any of you guys have tried this, you probably know that this thing doesn't work. So if they fix the bug, this item could be good, but it's been bugged since the release of the thing, and the thing just simply doesn't work. Like it is not, it doesn't say lucky hit. It just says has a chance, and I tell you for sure, it is not an 80% chance. I literally had a perfect one, and I don't know, it seems to activate like maybe like at a 10 or 20%. Like if I have my inner sight up, let's say that it goes for like 5-6 seconds, I'm getting like 3 of them, and at 80% on 3 on like basically, you know, maxed out attack speed or even like 150 plus, it's just not activating. There was a bug with it, and I think they've said that they fixed it, but I tested it in season 4 after the mid-season like update, and like it just didn't seem to work. So if this gets fixed, sure, but it's been bugged since the launch of the item. Next up, Grasp of Shadows. Okay, this is a really cool item. So we got attack speed, that's good. Lucky hit chance, no crit on it. Okay, then we have ultimate damage. Then we have plus to core skills. Wait, they nerfed it? Why did they nerf it? It went from 3 to 4 to 2 to 3. Damaging an enemy with a marksman or cut through skill has up to a 44% chance to summon a shadow clone. See, the problem with the shadow clone is it doesn't get your aspect, so it's basically worthless. Now, there might have been something with Umbercrux that was working with it, so if that still works, I don't know how it was causing it, by the way, to get those multiple totems, but if you can get multiple totems with this, then it is actually god tier. This will be like almost best in slot if the shadow clone can also give you an additional totem, because that's like double your damage. The stats aren't really that bad on the item. You are losing out on an aspect. Just the shadow clone does 0 damage, so like you could put this to 1,000% chance to summon the shadow clone, but like the chances of it summoning don't really matter that much because the damage just is not there. If it could apply maybe some other like debuffs or something, sure, but I just don't think the item is good, and I don't know why they really nerfed it here. They did buff it technically with ultimate damage, and if you really want to run like a build for ultimate, I guess that you can run this in the Hakan build, but then you'd still lose out on crit and another aspect. Would you want to give that up? I don't know. It's kind of rough, and you lose out on tempering. Okay, Cal of the Nameless. This thing always drops, and like no one uses this. Let's be real. Let's see if it's good now, though. So crowd control duration, whatever. Rapid gambits, unstable elixirs. These are some of the newer things in here. And trick attacks. Trick attacks, I believe, is pretty good. But other than that, you gain 38x increased lucky hit chance against crowd controlled enemies. So that means it still sucks against bosses. And I would rather just skip out on this. I don't see this really seeing some great use. It is a decent amount of lucky hit chance, but the problem is like, if you're running a lucky hit chance build, right, you would probably think about, oh, I want to play Andariels or something, and so, or you'd run Harlequin because you want ranks to the Heartseeker. So I just don't see this fitting in. If they at least gave it plus ranks to like basic skills or something else, because they need to make it more lucrative to want to run this. I think this item is kind of bad, but I'm curious to know what you guys think. Okay, these have been buffed, I don't know, probably 10 times. I'm not even kidding. And they've always been bad. So trap arm, this doesn't really matter. It makes the game feel a little bit better, but extra life, that's good. It already had life before, so they're buffing that up. Ultimate, okay, now there is maybe a point to running this. Ultimate damage by 300, because it's weird that this gives half the stats. It's like 145, but this is 300. Like a bad item, right? No one really played with the little, you know, shadow clone stuff. But Eyes in the Dark over here, that's a decent amount. And then damage reduction from traps. Again, the problem is that one armor is one thing that like it just doesn't work. Then we have plus to Aftermath, which is that's one that gives you extra resource. And then Death Trap deals up to 150x increased damage. And will it rearm itself once after activating? Finally, we get something that's so much better, because how it used to work, actually it does the same thing. Well, I don't know, I actually didn't remember them actually updating it from here. So how it used to work is if it would like hit like a boss, it wouldn't rearm itself, but it would keep on rearming itself until it killed one thing. But if it hit a boss, it just wouldn't work, like it wouldn't rearm. So like, I don't know why they have it set up this way, but having it activate 2 times with 150x damage, again, maybe you can run a actual death trap build. I wouldn't actually mind checking that out if we go to like the skill tree over here and we ran exposure. I think that this could be something to consider, as I mean, activating it twice and being able to get all of those like stun grenades, and then you can maybe make your stun grenades count as trap skills, and then you could start scaling, you know, some other things. I think this could be interesting. I'm actually excited about trying out Eyes in the Dark. This is a crazy time for Rogue, man. Rogue is still looking really solid this season. And then we have the Writhing Band of Trickery. So we get a bunch of resistances, and then now we get Dex, damage to crowd control, which is okay. Trap damage, well, that's a big amount, 200, but again, it's additive, not X. We have Subterfuge cooldown, which is great for the Umbercrux, but we're missing out on, let's say, attack speed, critical strike chance, which are kind of important things. But next up, when we cast a Subterfuge skill, we spawn a decoy that taunts and lures in enemies. After 2 seconds, it explodes. Wow, they actually removed the cooldown. Oh, no, just kidding. They still have the cooldown. It's bad. They did increase the damage, but the problem that I have with this is if you wanted to, like, spam this thing, and it was kind of a cool idea in theory, but the fact that it only works once every 6 seconds, I guess you can try to do damage. The fact that it's treated as a trap skill could work out, but the problem is it's not like a dot, or so it's not affected by like a trap skill, like some of the other things like caltrops would continuously be under effect of it. The damage is not bad, but like this is just like, think of like not Taurus, Andariels, but with a 6-second cooldown. That's about what we're looking at. Actually, I think Andariels might actually do more damage at this point now. So unfortunately, this item is just kind of, I want to say, is just still bad. I mean, you get a good amount of trap damage, but again, it's additive. You can get way more damage by getting crit and stuff. Scoundrels Kiss, has this gotten updated? This is the rapid fire one. So we get attack speed, which is good, because it used to be attack speed after dodge. And this is way better. Critical strike chance for each enhanced rapid fire bonus? For each enhanced rapid fire bonus? Okay. And then we have chance for rapid fire projectiles to cast twice. That is really good. That's on a ring. Normally you can't get that. That actually helps out a lot. And then we have plus rings to rapid fire. Cool. I like it. Very, very good stuff indeed. Okay, yeah, it had 2 to 3 and it's still 2 to 3. Cool. And then they increased the damage by 10x. Cool. And then we have Saboteurs, so now we have extra grenade damage, stun grenade size. That's actually a pretty good stat, because I believe we had a temper on that before. And then plus 1 energy when a stun grenade explodes. By the way, increasing your flurry size does give you more, so we can maybe try it out again. It has flat cooldown reduction, which is good. And then casting a core skill has up to a 45. Now that's not lucky hit. That is just straight up 45% on a perfect roll. Chance to throw stun grenades and deal some sort of amount of damage, and it stuns them. And they actually have 5% lucky hit. Now that's a very small amount, but if anything activates off of them, and remember you can get like, I don't know, 10, 15 of these if you get like a really large size. Again, it depends on the skill. Flurry was one that you can get like a big amount with when you increase the flurry size. So let's say you get like 10 of these. I mean, that's like 50% lucky hit chance. Might not be that bad to consider, because you're just getting almost another skill activation at this point, and it doesn't cost anything, and you also get plus 1 energy. So my thought process that would be more interesting with this item is to maybe run like an Andariels build, or you can run, instead of Andariels, you can just get a lot of lucky hit, as well as get the Crown of Lucian, because that costs a lot of resource now because they nerfed it. But now if you run Saboteur Signet, and you also get like, I don't know, what is it, Umbrus, or is it Umbral? Where like if you affect an enemy with a crowd control, which your stun grenades will obviously stun, you can then get even more resources, and then the Crown of Lucian loses out on its downside. And then you just spam Flurry, because Flurry has a relatively large size and it covers up things, and you also can get like more, you can get vulnerability basically for free that way. So this could be something to consider if you want to run like some sort of lucky hit build. Okay, now we're running to Sorceress. Well, this was a really long vid, but there was so much here to take in, guys. Let me know, rogues, what do you plan to play at the start? I've already told you guys, I think Barrage is going to be absolutely money, but every rogue build is going to be very, very solid. I don't think there's one bad core skill rogue build. If you want to run the Shadow Step build, I don't think that that is ready yet, unfortunately. But since they are lowering the HP of everything, it may be an open world, you can start teleporting, one-shotting like a Flicker Strike build in Path of Exile, which is kind of what I wanted to do with the rogue, but I don't think that we have the buffs yet for it. But still definitely looking forward to testing out the Penshot and kind of how it works. But anyways, let me know your thoughts on the brand new rogue updates and the uniques. Which one do you plan to mess around with? But anyways, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video, and check the pin. There's going to be a lot of build guides.